Let them deliver the bloody objective.
Hello guys, I am Pixel, and today I want to just give you guys and the developers a little bit of feedback on Dome. So I've just been watching the developer stream, and they have been going over some of the changes which are coming to Dome. I will try and include a few pictures, or at least link to the pictures, but I'll quickly go over some of the changes right now that will be coming. So basically, the first one, as a defender, that you'll see is that this staircase here has been flipped. So instead of walking down this side and going up here, it's flipped around, so you'll walk up here and you'll come up there. And what this does is, right now you fight here, you're in a little bit of a sticky situation, but once you're back on this side and this box has been moved in front of you, you've got a little bit of work to duck and a little bit of cover to duck and weave around. Honestly, this is probably the best change so far that we have seen on the developer stream, so a thumbs up for that one. Unfortunately, the rest of them aren't all that great, and it pains me to say this. The next change that I will mention is that this, which is actually a long jump, so you jump across here, you'd land on here, and you'd be able to run inside this building and come out over here. It's kind of cool on paper. It's not really all that effective, but what they've actually done is they bent these pipes so they actually float in midair around here, and they've actually raised up this platform a tiny little bit, which means that you no longer need to long jump. You can simply just run and, well, I can't even jump, can I? But you can simply run and jump and land on them. So you're removing the long jump. And the reason why they're saying that this is a good change is because a lot of new players aren't understanding the long jump mechanic, and they're not understanding why they can't reach the pipes when they're watching other players do it. And a lot of people didn't even realize that this was a route. See, like, this is not like a horrible change, to be honest. I would kind of prefer splash damage to work harder to actually teaching people to long jump, rather than just making all the long jumps no longer usable. Because we see this trend following through quite a few of the changes on Dome so far. So I definitely prefer them to actually work on teaching people long jumps. I would say that this is probably a little bit more effort than what I would have expected, considering how useless this jump actually is. All it does is take you around here. It's actually a tiny little bit slower in my mind. I believe that if you actually hug this wall and come across, it's a little bit quicker. So I don't see the strength for this at all. And the only time that you're ever going to get into a fight in this area is really when the defenders are being far too aggressive, and that is certainly not the optimal way to play. The other thing is that these boxes have been moved out and lined up with these pillars, so you've got a smoother kind of shooting angle here. Again, it seems so small. I understand why they've done it, but at the same time, I kind of like the ability to duck and weave around multiple things, but it seems like someone at splash damage doesn't like solo pillars to duck and weave around, so that's kind of been cut out, it seems. The next change that I'm going to talk about is probably one of the biggest ones, and that is this building here has been blown up. So it's a massive hole in here, and this generator has been moved from here to around here. So guess what, guys? You've got a line of sight, which means that you can actually destroy this generator now with artillery strikes and Kira lasers. And the dev stream also makes it look like they have drastically increased the amount of damage that certain abilities do to these generators, or these generators in general just survive less. So the idea is that you can destroy this now with an artillery strike, with Kira's laser, Stoker's Molotov. You can't really destroy it with an airstrike, so I don't really see the use of moving this. And what I really don't understand, though, is the change itself's not awful, but like you never really needed to move it. You could always destroy this with an artillery strike and Kira's laser anyway. And they've actually removed this in the updated Dome as well, so the moving of the generator just kind of brings it a little bit more into the attacker's favor, I think, and it doesn't really do much to change if people can destroy it or not. Again, I think that this is more of a case of splash damage. You need to work harder at educating players that they can destroy the generators, rather than just making them easier to destroy, if that makes any sense. So we're going to quickly go on to the other side. I don't want to waste too much time. We've only got 10 minutes left on the map. Hopefully we'll be able to do this down faster. The developers also explained how this route is designed to allow you to destroy that generator with your abilities from here, which is understandable. I already personally knew about it, but I would say that that I kind of still understand why a lot of people complain about this area, because you don't actually need to be in there to destroy that. I mean, a Molotov from down below, you can actually direct a key laser onto that quite easily. So yeah, it makes sense, but overall it's not all that useful. So just I thought I'd mention that as well. In this area, this has been slightly raised up, and this has as well, because again, just like the other area, people were failing this long jump. So people were trying to follow the teammates and then just fall down because they were trying to jump at the last minute, or they was jumping too early and not being able to make it. So Splash Damage have raised this area a little bit and made it so you can now do this jump without doing a long jump, which is, in my eyes, ridiculous. Completely ridiculous, because you could have always walked around here. So the idea of the long jump was to reward players for doing the long jump, and this path around here was for people that didn't do the long jump or didn't want to risk doing the long jump. So by making this a normal jump, again, you've just really nerfed the whole concept of long jumping, and I think that's a massive shame, to be honest. So we come down to this area where we have this MG nest, and this is a fairly interesting change, probably the biggest change so far, and that is that this MG is now on a platform which is around this area, so going across here. Maybe I can jump on top of these, maybe that'll be a good example of approximately where they are. So it's a little bit further back, but as you can see, it's around here except tall. So you can now shoot at both of these sides. You've got cover onto the sniper area up here as well. So this MG placement is going to be an awful lot stronger, again, to try and make it easier for the attackers. All this is doing, again though, in my honest opinion, is forcing the defenders further back and to really just be even more defensive in this area. And I think this is very important. The best place for the defenders to defend this point from is in this area. Only if you are completely smashing your opposition would you ever push out down any one of these lanes, because if you do a split or if you do a 5-man push, you are always going to fall into a massive clusterfuck of a risk. If you do 5 men down this way and they send 4 people down the other way, you're caught out of position with your pants down and you've given up a very defensible position and the objective. If you do a 2-3 split and you run into a group of attackers doing 5-man on either one of these routes, you're doomed. You're going to get cleaned up and it's going to leave 2 versus 5 or 6 coming into the objective. So the defenders would always defend around this area, and one of the main reasons for that is these are capturable objectives which take 4 seconds to transmit, and 4 seconds is not a long time at all. So the defenders never really want to leave these unguarded. You always need to have at least a couple of pairs of eyes on it to make sure that not only can you jump down there and actually get the kill on somebody who's trying to deliver, but if they've got backup, you need your friends here as well. So I think that is the majority of the changes in this area. I'll quickly go up and show you one more area where they've removed a long jump again. And that is here. Well, technically this was never a long jump. You could always just do this jump, but what they've done now is you technically made this jump a little bit harder actually, so I will give them kudos for that. They've removed this, and now you have to jump off here, and then get in there. So it would be something like this. So it's a small change, but it's a change nonetheless. So why do I think that these changes aren't really going to have... Oh, wait, one more big change. This has been raised up, so now I think around this area, basically around the same as head height, this wall has been built up, and there's a little stick going up here that you can climb up to get into this area. And the idea was that it would slightly minimize on people being able to like shoot people coming out of spawn and stuff like that. And technically that's going to work, but what this change is going to allow is if defenders ever got into a spawn campable position, which in my opinion is somewhere like this, what happens is the attackers can either fight on top, and the problem is if they drop, while they're dropping, their spread increases, which means that they're actually at a disadvantage at distance fights for a small amount of time. So while this makes sense to stop line of sight onto the attacker's base, it could have been done better, because now all that means is that if an attacker jumps down, if defenders wait, listen for the drop, and then peek, they have got a slight advantage over the attackers. Maybe what they could have done is opened up this door and done a small route to coming out of here. Because if they came out here, what happens is, if you push up, sure you can try and defend that, but if you put a wall across here and actually allow people to cross around, the attackers, I mean the defenders would not feel safe in this area. Now, overall, one thing that I would like to say, and one of the biggest reasons why I don't believe that these changes are going to work whatsoever, is the concept of having carryable objectives on 2 long routes. Right, 2 very long routes. Sure, when they actually intersect and both of these doors are open, they don't appear to be a million miles apart. But the shortest route to get to the objective isn't coming all the way back, especially when you've jumped down this area because, yeah, you'd have to climb all the way up. It's actually crossing through the defender's defendable position. And the biggest issue with that, in my honest opinion, is that when you've got a carryable objective which has been taken this way, for instance, let's say I'm carrying it right now, and I get killed here. So the objective's here. Actually, yeah, give it a couple of seconds. So that's the objective, that ammo station. So now, what basically happens is the attackers are forced to keep going that route. Otherwise, a defender can just stay there, defending that position, and constantly tapping the objective and keeping it there indefinitely. And that means that if the attackers split, which happens in uncoordinated teams, right? Inexperienced teams, just general public play, a lot of players will split down one of either route. And because of the length of these walks, like let's say where I am now is the objective, we'll go on 15. So we're going to run. How long does it take me to get there on the long route? So 5 seconds. 10 seconds. 15 seconds. So a non-stop sprint going a long way, you're looking at around a full spawn wave. So you're going to be there at short spawns. And what this actually ends up at, what this actually ends up doing is making sure that the attackers are always on split spawn waves, unfortunately. So what happens is that objective gets kept there for absolutely ages, and the only way to actually see in public play this get delivered quite often is either somebody really focuses just on the objective, just a single player will always run it in, or what happens is it gets left there, the attackers finally push through, kill all the defenders, go, oh crap, we've got the area, we need the objective, and then they run all the way back to the objective and pick it up and finally get it delivered, providing that the defenders don't retake. This is a really bad design for 2 very long lanes. It is awful. It doesn't work. It's broken by design. And what I honestly believe that Splash Damage should do should either be look at this and change it to either a C4 objective, which I personally am not a massive fan of, or maybe even just have it as a 45-second hack objective that once you're in this area, you pull out your phone, you start hacking away at it, it can't be counter-hacked, and that, by just having that simple little thing, what it would allow is the defenders to actually push out and actually fight for these generators because they're going to get enough warning to be able to come down and kill anybody down here, which is actually hacking the objectives. So, that's what I believe. Honestly, the carryable objectives and this first objective are broken by design, and I don't believe you're going to be able to fix it simply by tweaking a few little locations of generators. Dome is a really pretty map. It's got a lot of potential, but it's awfully designed when it comes to the objectives, and that is the biggest issue with Dome, and that is why the changes that you've implemented are not going to actually fix the core problems. The things that you're going to be fixing were symptoms to a much bigger problem, and that much bigger problem is going to persist. And if you ever do manage to treat the symptoms and actually make this map work, the only way you're going to do that is by making it so attacker biased that it's no longer fun to play as a defender. And we already know that's exactly how it feels on the second objective anyway. So that's me done for today, guys. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to slap that subscribe button for some more PC gaming goodness and all that kind of jazz. Just my feedback on Dome. And until next time, I'll catch you later. Bye-bye.